Coming direct from the 404, 678, and 770 area codes. It's entertainment, details, and more right here on the Exquisite Sounds Podcast with your host, DJ and entertainment virtuoso, DJ Toryn L.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Exquisite Sounds Podcast. It's your host, DJ Toryn L, here with Exquisite Sounds Entertainment. And today I have got one of my favorite, most fashionable women that I think I have come to know in this industry. And that is going to be Miss Kate Donachy with the Modern Gent, everybody. I want to welcome her to the podcast today. Come on, y'all, give it up for her.
Thank you. Hey, my friend. How are you? Glad to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Pretty good. How you been good?
Great. Yeah, kicking it. Busy season, rolling along and getting it going. Yeah,
right, that's what's up. Yeah. So I've known Kate for quite a while. I think we became a little closer when I was actually a member over at Studio Ed. And I think for some of the folks that have listened to the podcast or that kind of follow Exquisite Sounds or, whatnot, Studio Ed is a collection of wedding vendors and a shared co-working space for wedding vendors located here in Atlanta. And Kate has a studio there. And so she's able to, kind of meet clients, and clients are able to kind of, come and interact with her. And so that's why I've gotten a great opportunity to kind of see her in action, in addition to just kind of seeing her out at industry things. And from time to time, I actually will see her at a wedding. So Kate's absolutely amazing. Now, I brought Kate on because she touches on a very personal note for myself. So for anybody that knows me knows that I love a good suit. I love a good tuxedo. And obviously everybody knows I love shoes. So that's what we're talking to Kate about today. So Kate, I want to start off with, and I think before we got started, you were kind of telling me that you grew up here in Atlanta, but I don't know much other than that, and that you run a great business. So where you from? How'd you get here? And just kind of lead us into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was born in Toronto, so Canadian originally, and came to the States. I mean, I was raised here really. So we emigrated when I was about 2. My mom, who was a huge influence in my life, she was, kind of in the corporate world on the hospitality side, got kind of promoted through the ranks, and ended up like on the senior executive team of a hospitality worldwide brand. And so we landed in Atlanta, grew up here. I've kind of been back and forth a little bit to Cali, back up to Canada, but Atlanta kind of holds my heart, always calls me home. I love it.
All right. Good stuff. How did you get here? How did you get in, menswear, and how'd the Modern Gent come about? I think it's such a pretty unique concept.
Yeah. Like most good things, totally by accident, I kind of fell into it. Like looking back, I always have been a total fashion nerd, fashion geek. I love it. Like
you do good.
When I was a kid, I would take scissors to all the magazines in the house and cut out a shirt or an outfit or shoes and paste them all together. So I always had this sort of fashion kind of calling in my blood, but didn't go to fashion school. Wish I had, but ended up kind of landing in Atlanta after going to university in Toronto, liberal arts education, studied anthropology, culture, politics, stuff like that. But kind of graduated in 2008, just post-recession, and ended up onboarding with a guy who quickly became my mentor. He'd worked in the fashion world in LA, doing red carpet styling, Emmys, Grammys, all of that for about 20 years. So he'd started a formal wear business in Atlanta, and I kind of learned from him. He grew, his brand, and I was sort of his right-hand girl. So he was kind of one of my first teachers in the space, and a lot of sort of credit and gratitude to him. And from there, I really sort of identified this niche, especially in Atlanta, of men needing a high quality formal wear experience that transitions from red carpet to weddings and kind of everything in between. So when he shuttered his brand, I had kind of built all these contacts in Atlanta, and they were calling me saying, Kate, what do I do? Where do I send my guys?
Right, yeah.
How do I dress these men now? So it was kind of a very natural transition. That was 10 years ago last fall.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
it's
Well,
been a
well,
journey.
congratulations on hitting that milestone.
Thank
That's what's up.
you. Thank you.
So I think the first question is, with you all and like you say, like menswear. So is it just, tuxes, suits, yada, yada for like weddings, or is it like kind of everything, right? Because when I think menswear, I think everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Modern Gent really addresses sort of the niche of formal wear, and we are special occasion specialists. That's kind of what we do best. You're not going to come into the studio and like see, khakis on offer and polo shirts, that sort of thing. So we really do, gear toward the formal side of things, but it's been important to me, especially with weddings kind of being the main concentration of our service, that we offer solutions for kind of every budget type.
Got it.
So we've got a really nice rental program. We've got a really beautiful ready-to-wear brand that's at kind of a medium price point. And then, on our high-end luxury offering, we do bespoke services. Okay. So inside of that, I mean, it's holistic in the sense of like, we love to work with our clients on an ongoing basis, styling them for the boardroom later, styling them for their sort of everyday services, but they usually find us through special occasion and the formal wear angle.
Okay, yeah, I like that though. So, and again, that's something I don't think that I quite knew. So you're able to do rentals, right? You're able to do sounds like off the rack.
Correct.
And you're also able to do custom, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Man, that's great. That's great. I love all three of those options, honestly.
Yeah, it's good, and it's necessary to sort of have all three options under one roof, especially when, you're looking at the wedding industry and what grooms need service for. So it can be nice to kind of have one person that's working with you on styling and, that sort of larger sense.
Yeah, I like that. So let's start with the rental, right? Here's my issue with rentals. I always feel like rentals don't fit well, like, or at least a lot of the rentals that I see. And I do feel like, and not to kind of take aim at the bigger box places, but I always feel like when they come from like the bigger box places, they all kind of look the same.
Yeah.
I had a wedding, I think last week, where they did rental, and classic case, one guy's pants were way too short, like just way too short. Like they were almost at his knees.
No.
I mean, it was really bad. I hadn't seen one like that in a while. It was really, really bad. Or, I kind of saw a wedding the other week where a guy had kind of the prom vest on. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Nightmares.
So how do you? But I've seen your rentals, and I mean, I feel like your stuff always fits well. It just always looks so much better. So is there just a different experience there, or is it just different vendors that you're using? Is it measurements? What is it?
It's kind of a combo of all the above. So if you look back, listen, rental's a tricky business. If you look back maybe like 10-ish years ago, when I kind of first started Modern Gent, there was just starting to be what I'm going to term proper fits, right? There was really just an appreciation for what's a clean, proper fit now applying to the rental business. Whereas historically, it was kind of like really boxy silhouettes, your armholes, halfway down your chest, the rise of the pant goes halfway down the thigh. Like it's just messy.
Yeah.
So as menswear kind of started getting more, let's call it like respect, attention, about 10 years ago, men just started educating themselves a little bit better. And I think there was more resources to do so. And so with that education, now the consumer knows what to look for. So I think there became more demand, certainly, for those more tailored fits transitioning into a rental program. Now, when you're looking at some of the big box brands, you have to think about they're buying on a nationwide scale and they're servicing such a huge amount of clientele and turnover. Their product is going to get more turnover. They are buying in such large quantities. They can't buy updated styles as often, just from an investment perspective, right? So our vendor that does our production is fantastic. They're one of like the smaller wholesalers that kind of address mom and pop stores. And so they're able to buy with a lot of flexibility. We have a lot of updated styles, and it really comes down to fit. So that's kind of one component, is being able to have the resources, to have the flexibility to buy on smaller scales. We might be servicing smaller pools of clients, but I'm okay with that, frankly. I'm not trying to be the big box Men's Warehouse. We're a boutique for a reason. So that's kind of component number one. Two would be who you work with and who you're sending your measurements with is your best friend. They're essential, right? Because that person is in full control over the garments you end up receiving. Like how your measurements transition to that size scale is everything, right? So you want someone that's kind of in your corner and going through all that with a fine-tooth comb to be able to deliver you the best fit possible through the rental program.
Okay.
And that's kind of the nature of rentals. It's all about the best fit. It's not going to be custom made, so I think like those expectations need to be anticipated by clients. It's not a custom fit. It's just not. Yeah. But we can get real close.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask this question, right? So this is something I know I've gone back and forth with different people about. So between renting and buying, is there a huge cost difference?
So
and let me rephrase that. Let me chat GPT that real quick. That, right? Is there a big difference between buying and renting when it comes to quality, right? So like, I mean, obviously you can go get the $69 special, and that's $69. But if you're really trying to get like kind of like what you're saying, like a little more, customized and a little higher end, is there going to be a big difference between going in that higher end rental and just simply, even if it's a really nice off the rack, is there a big difference there?
Sure. I think the best way to think about it is that when you're looking at a rental versus ready to wear, you're probably looking at about doubling the cost of the rental investment to get something that's going to be off the rack, any kind of quality that's going to be comparable. Okay. So, you think about it as how re-wearable is that item to you? Gotcha. Whether that's a tuxedo that's kind of styled in such a way that you can maybe wear the blazer apart from the trouser in future, style it up a little bit differently. Versatility is important, but also if you have a bunch of weddings you're going to, and that as a guest, then yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and buy something, because the X factor is that you can tailor a ready to wear off the rack garment for your body type and have a light years better fit than most guys are going to have with the rental program, just because it's tailored, right?
Right.
I mean, historically, our probably, parents, boomer generation, older, everybody had their tailor. It was such a kind of just part of the dressing process.
Right.
And I think a lot of guys expect, to be able to walk into a shop and tailoring's not really a factor, but it's really important unless you have a very specific body type that just easily fits in off the rack garments. So I do think it is worth the investment to go ahead and buy something and have it tailored more specifically. Okay. You're looking at probably about double the investment, but
it's gonna fit one.
Exactly. Yeah, it pays off from a fit perspective.
I got you.
But then if you're going to go and be a groomsman in a bunch of different weddings and, all your buddies are going for a different look, then you're probably going to end up renting anyway to match the party.
Yeah, no, I got that. I think it's important. I mean, my dad used to always say to me, you should always have one good tux, couple good suits, what I'm saying, if possible. Absolutely. So
it's a cornerstone of a properly built out wardrobe. You want your gray suit, you want your blue suit, something with a little pattern to it, and then a tuxedo. Yeah. And that's kind of your wardrobe basics. From there, you can, build some interest and some trendy pieces, things like that.
Yeah. So speaking of trends, right? One thing I've seen, and I've seen this for a while, I've seen different people do, and I feel like I've seen it kind of come and go, but I've seen some different trends that guys will do, like with their, like, especially if they kind of go custom, maybe they'll do pictures or stitching, or, we've had ball players get their numbers in them, things like that. Are there any kind of on your side that you've seen, kind of any trends or anything that you've seen, guys or girls do with a suit or a tux that they're building out?
Oh, absolutely. the formal industry, you see trends cycle through every few years for sure. I think when you're talking about custom, though, the beauty of it is that you get to end up with a very personalized garment, not only from a fit perspective, because you go through a multi-fit process of taking 40 plus measurements.
Okay.
If you're doing proper custom, that's bespoke and not made to measure. That's a bit of a different process. But if you're going through that, then you're ending up with, naturally the most personalized garment that you can, right? From a fit perspective. And then the styling, that's where the styling gets really fun because, like you say, you can do linings that are maybe like custom printed and personalized. I've had clients do one of their engagement pictures printed on the inside lining of the tuxedo. It was so incredible, like in black and white. It was like him and his fiance, and it just was like a little bit of nod to that amazing experience they had with their photographer doing their engagement photos at the Regis. So you can do that. You can do embroidered dates inside your jacket panel. I had a client that had this fabric that was super special to them, and we were able to integrate that into his overall piece. Embroidery on the back of the felt lining of the lapel. There really is so much you can do. And one of my favorite projects is always when a client comes to me with something really kind of unique, a bit challenging. How do we work this in? Or I have this in my mind's eye. How do we create it? Going, kind of holding their hand through that process and, ending up at the final fitting with this incredible, super unique piece it's super rewarding. I love it. It's a fun process.
So along with that, like what's your turnaround time on those custom garments or those custom suits?
I love to have 8 to 10 weeks to work on it. That doesn't. Yeah, it's not bad. So that's like actual production time. Fabric sourcing can be an X factor on top of that, just depending on, where we're sourcing fabric from. The design process can sometimes take a little longer. If we're going through multiple fittings, doing a basted garment fitting, which is sort of like a shell of your pattern that then gets adapted to your fabric being cut on top of that, kind of a midway point fitting. That can extend things, but yeah, usually in that 8 to 10 week time frame, we can get things out the door.
Okay, no, that's pretty good. So along those same lines, right? So say we didn't go custom, right? But we had maybe, a wedding party and they were going to do rentals. How, how much lead time, right? How much lead time do you recommend for wedding parties to kind of get those measurements in, get them ordered, get them received? When should they pick them up? When should they return them? Like walk me through that real quick.
Yeah. So I love to see clients 4 to 6 months out from the wedding. That's kind of ideal. Anything more than that, we love to see you, come on in, take a look at fabrics. We'll kind of framework things, but I find that like a lot of details can change between that year to 6 month mark, that it's just a little bit more efficient to go ahead and get the ball rolling at like 4 to 6 months and then take things live through the process. So when you're coming to us, say you're a groom, you have a group of groomsmen who are usually spread out over the entire country. That's pretty
exactly common.
Yep. So you're looking at kind of a lot of logistics, and this is where it's great to have like one company that you're working with that kind of has all that product in-house, because not only from a logistics standpoint and the ease of that, but from a styling perspective, you're looking at things kind of more holistically, right? And you have one touch point person. Okay. So we love to have our grooms come in, usually go custom, choose their fabrics, linings, start that fit process with them. And then at the same time, we'll discuss styling groomsmen around their look, right? Because as groom, you want to stand out. You want to be, all eyes on you, perfect fit. And the groomsmen need to kind of be your supporting cast, right?
For sure. Right.
So, we like to kind of work their styling off of the groom's styling, make sure it's all holistic, and makes sense from a larger standpoint. And then from there, we will put you into our project system. So what that means is we'll request names and emails of everyone renting. We assign a project manager to kind of run point with the groomsmen, getting their measurements submitted on time, getting their payments in, making sure that everybody's measurements look good. This isn't, 1 inch off over here, doesn't make sense. And, that's all taken care of. So usually about a month and a half out, 2 months out from the actual wedding date, we like to have those orders in and taken. And then from there, in the case of weddings that are local to us in Atlanta, we'll bring product in with an eye on the groomsmen's travel schedule. Usually that ends up, so the nature of rental is kind of more of a last minute process, right? Just like you're renting, just like you're renting your linens, your tablecloths, your flatware, like all of, rental for weddings is just something that, is a quick turnaround. So usually we end up doing final fittings Wednesday, Thursday, week of the wedding, when everybody's traveled and in town. That's our opportunity to kind of put garments on gentlemen's backs, refine the fit, do any little last minute tailoring processes, which usually happens overnight. And then, and so here's where we're a little bit different. So we offer kind of integrated into our program, some on-site services with the idea just to make like day of, weekend of logistics easy on the gentleman. So say you've got a hotel block you're putting all your guys up at, we like to offer the service of coming directly on site to the hotel.
Just bring my tuxes there.
Exactly. We can do final fittings on site. We can deliver product on site. And the idea is just that, your groomsmen aren't running around all over the city, getting stuck in traffic, late to your rehearsal. We don't want that. Stressing day of. So we do, as part of our experience, we have kind of a lot of those integrated kind of concierge services. Concierge services. So that kind of takes the guys through the weekend, styled up, fitted and looking good. And then after that, it's just a matter of tux return. Of course, like groom usually goes custom. So he keeps his attire for future use and they're off to honeymoon.
All right. That's what's up. That's pretty good. Now, do you all, I guess with rentals, you probably do shoes as well, right? That's pretty just kind of like
shoes an option. I'm seeing more guys nowadays get a little bit more creative with the shoe though, which is fun. So,
what do you mean by creative though? Because like my creative could be a little different. So what do you mean?
I think it's a fun way to integrate some personal style, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this is where you either have to have a lot of trust in your groomsmen or maybe like pre-vet some choices would be wise, perhaps. But I love it when I'm kind of styling a group of groomsmen in rental product. And one of the best ways to elevate your rental is to have your accessories be a little different, right? Yeah. So whether that's an elevated, properly hand-tied bow tie, or a nice pocket square, or a shoe that's like maybe a velvet slip-on instead of a patent leather lace-up, going outside, elevating your accessories a little bit, that's number one key to not look like you're all doing a rental, right? Yeah. Once it's all dialed in and taken care of, that's kind of the next step that you can elevate things, have your guys feel like things are a little more personalized and just reflective of their unique style too.
So even with some of the like accessories, as you say, like are those things that they can get through you all as well, or like do you recommend something, or I've seen some men's shops that kind of even like are making their own like letters and symbols and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like lapel pins and things.
Yeah.
So we have as part of our custom program, we do custom silks, bow ties, pocket squares, long ties, all that. So that's definitely something that we do a lot of for our parties. And oftentimes that can kind of double as a groomsman gift, which can be nice. You elevate their look, you buy them a nice Italian silk bow tie that they can wear for future. Lapel pins have come a long way, kind of as a substitute to a boutonniere, which is kind of fun. Yeah. And can be a little bit more masculine sometimes too, a little bit more modern as a look. So I'm all about a cool lapel pin. I think like something like that really can sort of showcase personal style and kind of still have a nod to like the overall wedding theme.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a big fan of lapel pins.
Oh, I know, my friend. Every time I see you and the lady out at industry events, you guys are always looking incredible, styled together, and love the work.
I owe it all to her. I owe it all to her. So tell me this, right? So I think we've covered a good bit about rentals. We know that off the rack, but then tailored is always a good option.
Sure.
So it sounds like, hey, every gentleman needs to have a tailor in their Rolodex.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
You know, and we've talked accessories a little bit. Tell me, as we kind of get to the tail end of this, though, I want to talk more about just kind of the Modern Gent and some of the differences there between, say, you know, going to, I don't even know if this place is still around. I was going to say Genghis. I think Genghis was the last place I rented a.
Back in the day. I think they might have got absorbed by.
All right. But yeah, but just kind of walk me through it. I mean, again, like, you know, I think every gentleman or whatever should have a couple of good suits and a good tuxedo in their wardrobe. You know what I'm saying? But I know I've sent several grooms, you know, your way. But just walk us through, like, hey, like, you know, this is why our experience is like so much better, or just so unique. You know what I mean? I'd love to just kind of dive into that so we can pass that along to our folks.
Absolutely. You know, I think it really comes down to having someone in your corner who understands what you uniquely are looking for your wedding day, right? And having someone that you can communicate those ideas with, and, you know, coming to the table with whether it's a little bit of inspiration that you want to adapt into your look, or maybe you're coming as a totally blank slate and, you know, working with us to develop that. I think it really comes down to who's styling you, that relationship. And that can be a very intimate thing, right? Like your wedding day is not only like one of the days that, of course, you want to be looking, feeling your best, presenting your best, but now, you know, you have these amazing photographers who are immortalizing the moment, and, you know, that's going to stay on your mantle for 30 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
However, so, you know, you want to make sure that not only do you trust that relationship of your stylist, but they're leading you in the right direction. And it's an enjoyable experience. It's fun. You know, that's what it comes down to. It should be fun.
It should be fun. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I got you.
So where we're a little bit different is that we really prioritize the understanding of that, I think, and adapt our services around it. Okay. I like to think of Modern Gent as more of a service-based business than a retailer, right? You can walk into wherever and buy a tuxedo, to be honest, like you really can. But you want someone who knows how your tailoring wants to end up, who's going to hold your hand through the process and give you that concierge level of service to where you don't have to worry about anything else for your day. You know, you trust them to show up and you're going to look on point, handsome, modern, styled, clean. So I think it's about understanding that, especially when it comes to weddings, those services are really key to having, you know, a nice experience that's stress-free.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like it. I like it. So with your service, right? Like, and I'm sure there's obviously tiers to the service, but you kind of alluded to like dropping off, say, like the rentals or maybe even some of the stuff at the hotel. Is there part of that service, like, say, like for the groom, where like you kind of somebody stays back and kind of ensures that the fit is right, the tie is straight, you know, kind of like how the ladies have the makeup artist that stays behind after the ceremony to freshen up the makeup. Is there anything like that with you all?
Yeah, a lot of our clients actually take advantage of day of services packages that we offer. So that's where our staff is coming on site. We've got our emergency kit should, God forbid, you know, groomsman step through his pant hem or somebody spills something, you know, we don't want to plan for it, but it happens. It happens. So
looking for a safety pin Sunday. So yeah,
exactly. Exactly. That's part of it. So, we come on site, we steam up everybody's clothes, get everybody picture ready, tie bow ties,
Okay.
Place pocket squares, get, you out the door, like looking refined with your group of groomsmen. And, you don't even have to think about everything. Clothing is prepped and ready. The room is not totally disheveled by the time we leave. And you get to, sit back and drink your pre-wedding bourbon and chill and hang with the boys.
That's what's up. Yeah, I wish I had that when I got married because the room was definitely disheveled. So yeah, I got it. That's what's up, man. That's great. So listen, we've learned a lot here. Obviously we've talked a bit about kind of bespoke, which again, if you got this far and don't understand that bespoke is custom, then that's exactly what that is. We've talked about off the rack. You can kind of get that anywhere, and then obviously below that you're gonna have like your rental, all the great options, just depending on which way you want to go or which way you can go. You know what I mean? I have had some grooms that were like, man, I'll never wear a tux again. That wasn't their line of work. They just didn't appreciate it, or they just didn't have a need for it, But then I've also had I've had grooms that were, in other fields and they needed them. They had a couple of tuxedos, just because they needed the variety in what they did in their personal lives. So yeah. So this has been great, Kate. This has been great. We'll close out, but I tell you, before we do, I'd love to give you the floor to kind of tell us, where we can find you, website, social media, best ways to get in touch with you, make appointments, obviously. Absolutely. That kind of stuff. Yeah. So let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like one of the best resources, of course, that stays up to date and most current is Instagram. That's where you find our most recent work and can get a great idea of not only our rental process, but clients we've styled through our bespoke program before. And, so you can find us on Instagram at Modern Gent Style. Don't forget the style on the end, at Modern Gent Style. And our website, you can book appointments through, you can kind of preview what our process and services look like. So website, you can find us www.themodern-gent.com.
Okay. I like
Check us out, book an appointment, give us a call. We love kind of just brainstorming, talking clients through the process and, letting people know how we can adapt and help out, make you look good.
That's right, man. Hey, listen, I'm actually cruising through their Instagram now, and I've seen a few of these grooms in person, but stuff always looks amazing. So it's you should definitely check them out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you for joining us on another episode. Again, it has been great, Kate. We appreciate you. It's been great learning a little bit more. I think this was just kind of a layer pull back, to kind of get us started here with some of the fellows. But it was a great place to start. So thank you very, very much. Everybody, if you don't already know, again, feel free to follow Kate and the Modern Gent Style. They're everywhere. So feel free to check them out. Of course, myself, you can follow me, DJ Toryn L. And of course, we're at Exquisite Sounds Ent everywhere. That's going to be another episode of the podcast, everybody. We appreciate you. We'll check you on the next one, man. Appreciate it.